10 in a row. Eagles, 10 in a row. We will talk about the Eagles' victory in the Battle of the Keystone State. What do we got, guys? What do we think about this Eagles passing attack? This defense continues to dominate. We'll discuss all of that. We got Bone on the Birds. We've got Week 15 reactions. Also, trying to watch live these two Monday Night Football games. So we got all that. Gotcha. Kind of.
Yeah.
All right, Eagles Talk, A2D Radio. Let's get it, guys. Let's go.
Let's go.
You love the Eagles, let me get a hell yeah. You love the Philadelphia Eagles, let me get a hell yeah. Philadelphia!
Eagles Talk A2D Radio is brought to you by Baggio's Bread, located in Mount Laurel, New Jersey, home of the best stuffed bread, tomato pies, sandwiches, cutlets, and meatballs. Make sure you mention A2D Radio for 10% off your in-store purchase. It's your boy Chucks, it's Brinks, and it's PY. Gentlemen, we got 10 in a row for the Birds. How does that make you feel? How you doing?
Feels great.
That.
It feels great. Yesterday was the last missing piece that at least I needed to see to put this team as the Super Bowl favorite. Now they got to close. Super Bowl or bust now. I'm there. It took me 4 months.
I agree with that.
I'm there now.
Yeah.
Now, at the end of the game last week or on Sunday, it was just like, this is Super Bowl team. Like, Jalen is a top 10 quarterback. Saquon Barkley is an MVP candidate. You have two top 10 wide receivers. You have Grant Calcaterra and whatever is left of Dallas Goedert at this point. You have an amazing offensive line, and you have the number one defense in the NFL. And say what you want, you have a great head coach right now who has been able to lead this team, who's been able to navigate murky waters. And everyone talks about, what does he do? What does he do? You know what he does? Win. You know what he does? Manages difficult situations. I'm ready. Let's go. It's Broad Street or bust time. I'm with Brinks.
Yeah, I mean, with all the expectations, I mean, I'm sure we'll bring this up in another show, another topic, but I think this is the most talented team we've had. I think it's the most talented Eagles roster and team that I've personally seen. So, yeah, things are clicking. Coaching is good. Like, no reason why this team shouldn't have Super Bowl expectations. So we'll get to that conversation when the time comes, when the playoffs comes, which is in a few weeks. But for now, we're going to talk about the thing that was so heavily questioned last week.
Should have been
clicking against the Steelers, a good Steelers defense. So this seems like such a topic that we've raised here, like off, like kind of like, as a tangent. But it's time to officially attack it, with our lead poll question, which is Jalen Hurts doesn't get enough credit as a passer as he should. Agree or disagree? PY, I'm going to start with you. All right. So,
damn right.
Because I know what you're going to answer, so I want to let you lead off with your agree question, your agree answer.
Yes, of course it's yes. We would have had people on this panel in the last few weeks discuss whether or not we need other quarterbacks who could do the job because it's such an easy offense. It's Jalen. Like, he doesn't get enough credit. We crap on him. Not even on just this show, just fans in general crap on him. You know what I mean? Like, I understand, like, the numbers are always there. The numbers aren't always sexy. There's the slow starts. There's all these issues. But, like, it's 2024. What a quarterback looks like is not what would have looked like 5-10 years ago. Like, the sexy passing numbers don't need to be there. Like, it's okay. Like, you may not like Jalen said, you may not like what it looks like, but you're going to like the result. Like, while the passing results haven't always been there, when you've needed him with the game on the line, when you needed him to win you that football game, he's delivered. Like, he He's been in these 10 weeks, he's given up 3 turnovers. He's been 100+ passer rating in the fourth quarter. Like he has more touchdowns than incompletions. Like even if it hasn't always been perfect, he has delivered. He has given you what you need it to do to be successful. If you can take other quarterbacks and put them on this team, the record is not going to be the same. And I understand people will look at it and be like, oh, well, these aren't sexy numbers. 147, 167, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? He's a winner. He gets things done. Like, he is a good passer that adapted his game this season so he could win. He doesn't care. He'll go 13-21 for like $160 and a TD if it means that we win. Like that is an unselfish quarterback. He is a good leader. He is someone who's willing to do what is needed to do to win the football games. And it doesn't always have to come with his arm. It can be with his legs. But like, there's no doubt in my mind that he was going to be able to get it done because he was getting it done last year. He was getting it done in 2022. There was moments this year where you can see it. You can see the rifles down the field. He is still one of the best deep ball throwers in the NFL. Even if he's not chucking up as much as he was in 22 or 23, you know it's there. You saw that shit on Sunday when he was letting it fly and he was feeling himself and he was letting it go. That thing was a thing of beauty when it left his hand. Like, the confidence just needs to be here for him at sometimes. And obviously, right now, he's just trying not to turn the football over because he knows when he doesn't throw the football over and he's not turning the ball over and he's not a turnover machine, we're a damn good football team. We're a Super Bowl contender when he plays like that. Brady said it himself. When you're playing like that and you're poised like that and you believe in yourself and you got that confidence and that swagger going on, you're unstoppable. Yes, he's underrated. Nobody is giving him enough credit when it comes to the passer game. Let's go. Super Bowl time, baby. Let's go.
Sorry, was muted. Brinks, what say you?
I mean, doesn't get enough credit. I mean, he's properly rated. He's properly rated as a quarterback and a passer. All the criticism that he's gotten this year, he's deserved. He played fantastic yesterday. 290 yards passing, super efficient, got all of his receivers involved. Defense allowed it to be a blowout. But Jalen played great yesterday. But, like, he's gotten criticism because he's deserved criticism. If he plays like that, no one's touching this team. And I would put it based on that performance by Jalen yesterday, I would put them number one as the number one football team in the league because Dan Campbell can't seem to get out of his own way as a head coach. I would lose my mind if I were a Lions fan and Dan Campbell was my head football coach. Lose my mind. But Jalen was fantastic yesterday. He's properly rated as a quarterback. He deserves praise today, and he's going to get it from me. But he's deserved criticism in the past. He's not immune to, like, no criticism at all because the team's 10-2. He's like a between, like, the 6th to 10th ranked quarterback in the league. Like, he's properly rated, in my opinion. And the game plan was absolutely genius yesterday by the coaching staff. They spread them out. They used quick hitters to negate the Steelers' defensive pass rush, and it worked phenomenally. But, I mean, if Jalen's going to play like that, and he had a turnover yesterday, but it didn't hurt him at all. And like I said last week, like, you're going to turn the ball over sometimes as a running quarterback. It's okay. It just can't be a chronic issue, which it hasn't been. But Jalen Hurts properly rated as a quarterback. I don't think he's overrated. I don't think he's underrated. Properly rated. So I guess that means I disagree to the poll.
Okay. So for me, let me actually get to some of the comments in the chat. We've got Big Pope saying, big show, Eagles riding high. Tom Unknown says he does disagree to the poll. Pete Evans. And he just mentioned Briggs. Congrats on the home purchase, man. That's
finally
awesome. That is freaking awesome. They're definitely happy for you. That's great. That's so good to see. He says, he also says Pete agrees he's adequately rated in his opinion. And then Brad says another big win and everything like that. So we got keep the comments coming, guys. So for me, to the poll question, the way it's worded is key. And always remember when I do these poll questions, I am very, very detailed and nuanced in how I word these poll questions.
I'm shocked.
I want to preface this also by saying there are a lot of people out there. I mean, Hurts is a divisive player. That's
Yes, he is.
There's answer buts about it. Like you've got, and I'm speaking to the people that, and this is none of us. There are people out there who think that he is nothing better than like an average quarterback at best, mediocre. There are people that honestly believe that. There are Eagles fans who got the glasses on and think he's an elite top 3 quarterback in the league. They're ridiculous too. They're absolutely ridiculous too. So, as a quarterback, I still think Hurts is in that tier that like I always put like Mahomes is in his own tier, and then I've got probably Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and probably Joe Burrow in that next tier. And then that next tier under that tier 3, that's where I'd put guys like Jalen Hurts, Matt Stafford, who's continuing to ball out, guys like that be in that tier 3. So as a rating a quarterback, if I were to grade and rank these quarterbacks, that's where they'd be at. But I'm talking about credit as a passer. Okay, so not just a quarterback in whole. So in this poll question, I'm taking the element of his running ability out of it. Does he get enough credit as a passer in this league? I think as someone who, for me, and I watch, national media too. Like, I don't pay attention to like First Take or anything, but there are numerous national media folks that I respect and follow. And I listen to what they have to say. I think as a whole, I would have to say I agree to the poll. I think the issues. I think a lot of people. The thing is, they see Jalen Hurts as a dual threat quarterback who doesn't have the biggest arm, who doesn't throw to the middle of the field too often, and they automatically think like he's not that good of a passer. I think that it's not about him being good enough. I think it's more just those highs are so inconsistent at times, and that's the problem. And I think I alluded to that last week. It's the inconsistencies, but I think that also you've got a guy who at any given moment, he can take over as a passer. He makes plays. He makes the right plays, and that's the thing that comes up is I think that he can do things that as a pocket passer that almost anyone else in the QB, anyone else in the league can do. He has those moments. It's a matter of how freaking can those moments come along. And I get it. Consistency is always going to be what separates the elite from the rest of the pack. That's why they're elite. But again, that's why I don't consider him an elite quarterback, an elite passer. But I think as a whole, he does deserve more credit in that regard than I think overall that he's getting. So it's based on just who I think and the conversations that I follow from pundits and like, you always have those articles from ESPN or anything or The Athletic where they do anonymous like, polling of GMs and executives and scouts and like that. And that's the common theme I see is that they don't see him as someone who is high enough of a level of a passer. I disagree. I think he can be a high enough level of a passer. It's just not, we don't see it consistently as we see guys like Burrow. We don't see it consistently like guys like Allen. But those are a tier or two above him. And I'm never going to expect him to be that kind of quarterback ever. Like I would never expect Jalen Hurts to be on the level of those quarterbacks. But I think if you compare it to the rest of the pack, right now I think you can tell he holds his own as a passer. So that's my 2 cents. I don't think it's if you were to present the other argument of like the inconsistencies do detract you from saying he shouldn't get more credit than he does, I can understand that. If the inconsistencies of like scare you off too much, that's a fair argument. So I get it. I'm gonna bring in Les Bowen on the Birds. Les, what's going on?
Hey, fellas. How's everybody tonight?
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Good.
fantastic. 10 in a row. It's hard to be really mad about anything unless if you're
Indeed.
someone from WIP. No, complain about
Wow.
but yeah, we're going well.
Why?
So
Who's bitching over there?
Who
Uh,
isn't
camera.
bitching?
Joe the camera.
The camera, Gilio,
Yeah, there were
all those frauds, man.
I know Seth was on the morning show and I saw a
He's
transcript.
ripping them apart.
I
Well,
was like,
because they're always looking for something. They're always like,
Mhm.
oh man, Jalen this, Jalen that. Because for 10 weeks, they're just like, oh God, they're winning. I don't know what to do. How can I get Jalen Hurts out of town? I don't know what to say.
Yeah,
It was
but
really
now
funny
after-
to me that business last week. By the end of the week, people were talking about, can the Eagles overcome this controversy? Now, granted, I went out of town Thursday, and I was out of town again until Sunday, but I felt all along it was largely a controversy in the media. I really didn't see players very much at odds. I just didn't see it as something that was ripping apart the locker room. But
yeah, exactly.
Apparently some people really bought that. I certainly didn't. But there's always something going on, that's for sure. And it gets harder as they keep winning,
yeah, it is.
Less
So,
things to pick apart, less things to freak out about, less
Yeah,
things to drive up ratings.
Yeah.
especially when you win 10 in a row and look like they do. So I said this at the top of the show, Les, we've kind of mentioned this topic as like a side conversation, but after this week, I did want to have it be our lead poll question. So, Jalen Hurts, does he get enough credit as a passer as he should? What do you think?
I don't really have a clear picture of what the consensus is about him as a passer at this point. I would like to see, I guess I'm going to agree mildly that he doesn't get enough credit because I think he's pretty capable, and maybe there are people who just don't see him as a capable passer at all. But, if you saw yesterday's Jalen Hurts every week, I don't think there'd be a lot of doubt about him as a passer. But we don't see that every week. And the week before, excuse me, they threw for 118 yards. So it wasn't so much that he was throwing the ball terribly. It was just they didn't throw enough. And I think he's a good passer. I think he's having his best year in terms of passer rating, even better than 2022. He's probably going to take more sacks than he took that year. And he might not throw for quite as many yards as he threw in 2022. But he's been very efficient, as Nick Sirianni keeps pointing out. I think he's had 2 games with a passer rating under 100 since that Tampa loss. But yesterday was the first time over 200 yards since the Washington game a month earlier. So it's hard to really build a rep as an elite passer if your team doesn't throw that much. If you're throwing for less than 200 yards every week, as he was there for a while, nobody's going to really sing hosannas about you as a passer that way. It doesn't mean you can't do it, but it means you're not doing it. So yesterday was comforting in seeing that he could still do that. That was a 2022 level passing exhibition from him. And against a good defense, not a great pass defense, but a good defense overall. Defense that puts a lot of pressure on the passer. And I think he should get a good amount of credit. He probably doesn't get quite enough, but it's not. I don't think he's horribly underrated. I guess I would say.
Chuck's
Sorry,
with the mute.
again. Sorry, I was saying very good answer, Les. I like that. Some of the other comments we have in the chat. Wayne the Paint says too much indecision much of the time.
Yeah.
Unnecessarily taking sacks drives me crazy. But when he needs to make a play, he can. Inconsistency is deadly. Inconsistency is deadly. Yeah, I totally understand that part. Yeah, I get it.
The indecision is really the biggest thing at this point.
Yeah,
I mean, if he can get rid of that, if he can be more, I don't even need him to see his fourth read or something like that. If he could just get a good look and throw it to somebody and not get picked off, bam, 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 get the ball out. I think that would raise him several notches in my viewpoint.
Yeah, and it goes to the point. Like even I loved Hurts's post game comment when he was, I forget who interviewed him on the field.
Oh, that was baller.
He was saying, he said just because we don't doesn't mean we can't, and I think that speaks a lot. Like
I love the chain.
You can't laud and praise the dominant running attack we've had for several weeks and then complain that they're not passing enough. You know what I mean? Like, there's only so many plays. So I mean, like what I totally understand. I think this is completely fair to anyone who just wants, whenever they do have to pass, they want to see better efficiency. That's what
I think they did reach a point. Well, it's true that it doesn't mean you can't do it if you're not doing it, but if you don't do it for long enough, it becomes much harder to do it.
Yeah,
which I think is what we saw against Carolina a little bit, is that they just weren't prepared to really beat that team with a passing attack. Yesterday they were prepared and they were ready and they had everything synced up and it worked, and that was reassuring.
But I think what he doesn't understand, and what the locker room maybe doesn't understand, and the diehard Green Glasses Eagles fans don't understand, is fans like me needed to see it. Now that we've seen it.
You've seen it. You've seen it for 2 years. You've seen it since
you haven't seen it a lot in the last
not this
last
year. I mean, this is the first game he's thrown for over 200 yards PY since Washington. 200 yards is not hard to get. Like, you needed to see it. Now we know. Now we've seen it, and you can do it. Well, I mean, he could throw for 50 yards and 5 picks next week, and you would still say he's the greatest thing since sliced bread, PY. So
no, I wouldn't. That's just a lie.
But like fans like me that needed to see him step up and win a game by himself against a really good team.
We've seen it. We've already seen him do that. So like we've seen him do it against the Bills.
We've
not
seen it in weeks. Let's just say
that was last year, though, Pete. I mean,
that's last year.
That was before the big crash,
before collapse.
Like that. Yeah.
Like,
I agree. We've seen it. I agree. He's proved before that he has an arm, but I don't think. I was kind of wondering where that guy that threw for all those yards had gone for a while there, and it was good to see him again.
I think that
now expectations can be raised because the Lions their head coach can't seem to get out of their way, and they're injured. So the
injuries more than that.
Like 45 guys on IR right now.
It's gotten just absurd. I mean, I just can't.
And there's still 3 games to go. They could still lose more guys.
Yeah, it's just unreal. I've never seen an Eagles team lose as many key people as they've lost.
I mean, we were bad in 2017 last. That was a lot of key guys.
That was a handful.
That's just nothing compared to this.
Right. Yeah. It was like a third of what they're missing,
It's crazy. It is crazy over there. And, you gotta think that at some point it just might be too much. And which is unfortunate. As a football fan, it's just like they play so well. They've been playing so well, and like as much as we want to criticize Dan Campbell for some aggressiveness decisions, regardless, that team was playing well. And it sucks that attrition is going to be a factor in how far they go. It sucks. It sucks to see. We got Daly also saying He can clearly be a really good passer in the NFL. We saw in the past and we saw it last night. I would love to see it more with the weapons here. To what you guys were saying, I know that Brings and Les, you guys are saying, well, we hadn't seen it, a lot this year, and PY, you're saying that but we've seen it in years past. So why worry? I think it matters in the terms of the context of the argument you're trying to make. I think that if you're talking about is Jalen Hurts the type of quarterback that can pass the ball as well as anyone when you need him to? I think that when you ask that question, the answer is yes, because that's when you can include before, when you can include the Super Bowl performances,
Right.
2022, what he was doing. So my faith in Jalen Hurts in that context never wavered. But I think it's also fair to say, okay, can this version of this Eagles team, this passing attack, with this offensive coordinator and with this set of O-line, with these sets of receivers, I know AJ and DeVonta are the same, but again, new offensive coordinator, different pass protections. You have Hurts calling the pass protections. So can this version of the passing game click? That is a fair conversation to say. We hadn't seen it this season, so that's where I say I want to see it.
But I think what everybody really wants to see, and maybe it'll never happen because perfection is hard to attain, but a nice 250-yard, 3-touchdown passing day, along with a Saquon Barkley 100-yard rushing day, and the Eagles score 40 or 45 points, which we have not seen.
Yeah.
And I'm not deprecating them for not having done that or anything, but that's the potential that's here. And if it ever does happen, then you'll really be talking about something.
Yeah, and I wonder because, and this will be the last topic before I want to switch it to other conversations from that game. I wonder how much of them not scoring 40 something points. I wonder how much that has to do with the way they are managing the clock. You know what I mean? So,
control. Yeah, they could have had another touchdown yesterday.
They could have put up 40 yesterday if they
could have, right? But
that final score did not indicate how big of a blowout that game was.
Exactly. So when you see that second half, the Steelers had it for 2 possessions. And we've had it's when is the last you've been covering the NFL longer than I have? I don't remember.
And I've never seen a more lopsided time of possession. I think the Steelers had the ball for 20 minutes, something like that, and they ran 43 plays, maybe. The Eagles ran 80.
Did they have 2 possessions in the second half, which is
just
2?
Insane. Yeah, that was it.
That's insane.
That's
crazy. So I wonder if that obviously, when AJ's one-on-one, when DeVonta Smith's one-on-one on the outside, you want to be able to hit those because that's part of what makes them so good, right? But when you can do what they did to the Steelers, and control the ball, maybe that's part of the play calling. I don't know. I'm not as advanced in that, and I don't.
That's probably why they haven't scored 40 yet. But I'd still like to see them really just run over a team and just. Right.
Maybe we'll see in one of the
they
following
got 3 cupcakes. They got 3 cupcakes left, so there's time.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say Commanders are cupcakes, but
it's a cup. Based on
Eagles
how
only a 3.5 point favorite there, by the way.
I just bought a house. I just bought a house today, Les. I settled today. I'm putting the whole mortgage on it.
I don't know.
First month's mortgage.
They've got Lattimore had his first game as a Commander yesterday. He played very, very well. The Eagles should win, but I think the other 2 games are much better. I'd be more secure doing that in either of the other 2 games than I would be with
I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it for those 2. But I can't do it for those 2. I'm going to buy it down so I don't have to lay the hook.
Oh my God!
To be fair,
we got Victor Hernandez saying Hurts is 5th in QB rating. I get that people want more yards, but why pass that much when Barkley, the O-line, and the D can win games? When he does throw, he does just fine, and the rating proves it. Daly says, I want to see this team keep defenses on their toes by throwing and running the football together. I think at times the offense can be a bit predictable. Unfortunately, Barkley has been hard to stop.
They do tend to get in one mode and not switch out of it. It'd be great to see, like, and there's a pass to AJ, and there's a 20-yard run by Barkley, and there's a pass to DeVonta, and there's a 15-yard. It would be better. They just don't quite have that kind of rhythm yet. But it's a happy problem.
Yeah, it is a very happy problem. I mean, like we were talking. I was just saying it to someone else on Twitter. Like when you look at someone like the Bears offense or the Raiders offense. You feel very happy that the Eagles have what they have, right? Compared to other teams. So I mean, we definitely got first world problems here when it comes to that. And then Habib gives a shout out to you, Les Bowen.
Hey, I'm the GOAT. Thank you, Habib.
Mr. Wing says, "Yeah."
Checks in the mail. Yeah.
He's Mr. Wing says, "Yeah, I think the play calling gets inconsistent. They get up 14 and then they get conservative and let teams."
Well, you want to be conservative because you want to grind down the clock,
Yeah, absolutely. So I wanted to chat. If you're listening, all of you guys that are tuning in, I appreciate you. Keep the comments coming in. Let us know what you think about the poll question. But I wanted to also shout out someone else on the offense. With Saquon Barkley getting hurt in that second quarter, he said it was a minor injury, nothing to be really worried about, which is good. Thank God. So Kenneth Gainwell stepped in the second quarter. Mm-hmm. And especially as a receiver, he had 3 really, really outstanding plays as a receiver. And shout out to him for coming in big spots and making those plays. I mean,
he was incredible. I've seen him do stuff a little bit like that before, but again, it's not something you see every day out of him.
Yeah.
And that spin move he made on that 3rd and long when I didn't think he had any chance of getting the first down. Holy crap.
Watching film.
I was a Kenny G hater in the offseason, but he's proven me wrong this season.
He has done such a good job. I think he's definitely learned and been motivated from Saquon.
Yep.
Because I think he looks to have more juice to his game than what I've seen in years prior. He looks to be
I don't think they're force feeding him like they were last year. Like for whatever reason, like in the red zone, like they never give Swift the ball. Like I was looking at their red zone carries last year, and I think they were within like a 10 or 15.
Yeah. And often in situations where you think the box might be stacked, and they hand it to Kenny Gainwell, and it's like, he's gonna knock down 4 guys. Yeah, it just seemed like they weren't using him as well as they might last season.
Yeah, and I think that it's and who was it, Mr. Wing here? He asked, "The things Saquon has rubbed off on him." I think in 2
yes.
Yeah, I think so. Like, and Saquon loves him. He speaks so highly of Gainwell when you listen to him in interviews, and I think that has really pushed Gainwell to be. And then he's also in a contract year. I don't expect him to be back. I could be wrong, but I don't think they're going to pay him a second contract.
It's really hard to see. Who knows? I mean, if they win the Super Bowl and Kenny Gainwell is a big factor in getting there, then he's going to get a contract from somewhere. But right now, is anybody going to pay Kenny Gainwell?
I can't see anyone giving him anything more than a cheap 2-year deal right now.
Right. And maybe the Eagles, I think the Eagles might be competitive in that.
Like this isn't like Trey Burton, like in 17, where he played really well. Like he played like a number 1 tight end at times.
Or it's not even like Miles Sanders, who you just knew they weren't going to invest in.
Yeah. It is a scarce. The running back market is nowhere near what it was this past offseason. There's not a lot of options. So I mean that might
have a factor.
Might have an effect on what he gets. I mean, again, I could see a team giving him a pretty substantial contract just because lack of choices, and
Cowboys could be stupid enough to be like, "Hey, we need a number 1 running back."
Anytime, if you do get to the Super Bowl or win the Super Bowl, it just seems like every free agent then
they get big contracts.
Somebody that a team wants,
Yep, I agree with that. So we'll see. So I'm gonna pose this question for you. I have to step out for like 2 seconds, but I'll pose this. You guys all answer. But with the way Kenny Gainwell looks, and we have that injury scare for a second to Saquon. Would you start limiting Saquon's touches to like 15 to 20 a game and let Gainwell get more touches just to keep Saquon fresh for the playoffs? Or would you keep doing what you've been doing and, hey, Saquon's your workhorse, let's also see if he can get those records for yards from scrimmage or the rushing record? Well, like, how would you approach this, Les?
Well, first, I want to know, I know what he says publicly, but I want to know if this means anything to Saquon, this record and the 2,000 yards and all that. If it does mean something to him, then I don't want to piss him off. It doesn't mean anything to me because I think the history of running backs who have these incredible outlier years, the next year they don't do that anymore. Yeah, it's a jinx. It really is. I would prefer that they back off him and keep him fresh and do whatever they have to do. Throw it, give it to Kenny Gainwell, keep that horse fresh in the barn for the playoffs. But again, I wouldn't do that unless that's what Barkley wants. And I know may seem like a weird, I'm not usually that guy. You do what's best for the team, obviously, but he is such a unique figure. I'd kind of go a little bit by his preference on that, frankly. Anybody else?
You've won 10 games in a row with Saquon as your workhorse. Like, the only time you rest Saquon and don't deviate from what you've been doing, what's gotten you there, is when that 1 seed is gone. And it's not gone right now. No, it's very, 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 very much alive.
It's tough.
I might pull back a little bit. Like, I'm not saying like you have to limit his touches immensely, but maybe just a smidge, just because he's got that injury for this week going on. And I don't want to re-aggravate anything, especially heading into the playoffs. Like 15 to 17 touches is more than enough.
Yeah.
Like it's not saying that he's not going to get passes his way, but like he's going to do a lot. Like 15 to 17 carries, maybe 5 passes a game or 5 targets a game.
They're not really doing that though, and it surprises me. I thought when he came here he would get 5 targets a game. He doesn't. He gets 1 or 2 most games. I don't really know why, but I'm good either way. I just want to make sure that Saquon's good.
I want to see him get the record. If he doesn't get the record, I at least want to see him get 2,000 yards. And if I were Saquon Barkley, it would mean a whole heck of a lot for me to have at least 2,000 yards. The record is. You look at that record. What is it? 2150, I think it is. I have it right here. I had it right here. Ridiculous. That's a ridiculous record. If Saquon doesn't do it this year, I don't know if anyone will ever do it.
Right.
Ever.
And it wasn't set in a Super Bowl winning season.
No.
I think
the number 1 rushing team, like, over the past 15, 20 years, I think I saw the stat, like the number 1 running team in the league doesn't win the Super Bowl. Right. They never have.
This might be the year, but given the way the league has kind of come back, we've talked about it.
It's coming back around.
But it's just not something that's important to the goal of winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I think for me, because we have where's trying to look for that comment. Oh yeah, here it is. Wayne the Pain says, "You guys think the race for 2105 is over or not yet? I'd love to see it, but would prefer Saquon get some rest somewhere and be a killer in the playoffs." So it's alluding to what we're talking about. I think that health. You have to see
there's a good middle ground.
We don't know. Yeah, we don't like how serious is that injury. He says it's minor. So if it's minor and it's not going to be a thing at all moving forward, then you go forward and as usual. To me, you just don't mess anything up. You proceed as you have been.
The pace is not that's one thing Wayne is mentioning here. The pace has dropped off, and I'm what you hope is that he gets a couple really long ones coming up and boost that, because I don't want to have to. You're not going to try to feed him 25 or 30 carries a game just so you can get this record. No.
So for me, for me, like I'm like I'm always, you guys know me. I'm like different. I always think about next level when it comes to running backs. Everyone's talking about the Eric Dickerson rushing record. For me, I want to see him break the yards from scrimmage record, and how by Chris Johnson. Now that's a little bit more lofty.
Hadn't even thought about it.
Yeah, like I've been keeping track of it, and I've made posts on Twitter. The record by Chris Johnson is 2,509 scrimmage yards. All right, Saquon Barkley, it's crazy. Saquon Barkley right now is at 1964. This past game did hurt him. He did have like a puncher's chance of getting it. But now he's 500.
No, he's got to be 200 yards a game, right?
Yeah, like he's 200 yards a game, like a little less, but like he needs 545 yards to get.
And see, the thing is, there's a decent chance, and I should really do the numbers before I speak stupidly, but even if they don't get the 1 seed, isn't there a pretty good chance that they'll be locked into a seed that final week? And
probably.
Yeah,
they're going to be locked into the 2 seed. Once the 1 seed's out of play, you're going to be
Barkley out there to get his 20-some carries to get a record. I doubt that. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, absolutely. If it comes down to where we have no chance of getting the 1 seed, and it's week 18, I'm putting him out there for a series. I'm putting him out there for a series and done. Like that's it. Just rest everyone. So I couldn't care. I'd much rather have health in that final week. Obviously, as opposed to the record. I just like shouting out that everyone's always about rushing record. I'm like, no yards from scrimmage. That includes receiving yards. You got to include that. So that's just a geek in me.
It's good to have hobbies, Chucks.
Yeah, exactly.
That's his hobby.
That's my hobby.
So, yeah, Mr. Wing, like if the Vikings don't beat out the Lions for the North, then they can't be the 1 seed. They can only be the 5 seed. They'll be a wild.
Yeah, well, either Minnesota or Detroit's going to lose one more.
They play each other once,
unless they tie. But yeah, you'd need Minnesota to lose another one as well.
Yes, yeah, you need both of them to lose one, which is possible.
Because Minnesota, they have 2 conference losses too. The reason the Lions are the 1 seed is because they lost to Buffalo yesterday, and they're in the AFC.
If the Vikings went out though, their strength of victory is higher, so they would beat us.
How is that possible?
That's just how it is. It's weird. A lot of people have been arguing that, but yeah, if you go to playoff simulators, it does have. If the Vikings
it does. I don't.
Sounds like a
people
nerd.
Were telling me that today. I have no idea. Plus, the Vikings are playing tonight in the stupidest looking helmets I've ever seen. They have an iconic helmet, one of the greatest helmets in the NFL, and they've got some stupid white thing going on with their helmet that looks atrocious, frankly. But I think they're going to beat the Bears pretty handily anyways.
Yeah. I think that. What were we just? Oh yeah, the Vikings. I think that it's possible they lose because they've got another team that's pretty tough. I mean, it all depends on.
They have the Niners and the Niners, the Vikings, and the Seahawks. But like you just said, the Seahawks, they might not be anything. Like they're not doing anything.
If Gino's out, then they're done. The Niners have put up the good fight all year, but I think they're kind of pulling it behind the garage now too. As we used to say.
So basically, we're screwed on the strength of victory because we have the Giants in our division. Basically, that's what it is.
Like that, yeah.
I guess that must be it.
It's got to be it, right? I mean, we've beaten the Packers, we've beaten the Ravens, the Steelers, the Rams.
I know they beat the Falcons and we lost to the Falcons. That factors in it too. So, and I don't know.
Still be Kirk Cousins.
To me, guys, like I don't know I don't know why the NFL does different tiebreakers for different scenarios. I've never understood why. When I found that out 10 plus years ago, that there are different tie-breaking scenarios depending if it's division or wild card or conference, like I was like, why? Like, why is it like that? But I don't know. I don't make up the rules.
But now that there's no bye for the number 2 seed, I don't know that there's a huge difference between being the 2 and the 3.
Yeah.
Not really.
We can't. It's impossible to say right now who 3 plays, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's probably going to be Washington, and then Green Bay would be. You would have to play Green Bay if you're the 3 seed. But like Tampa,
that'd be significant. Yeah.
But like Tampa's not. Tampa and the Rams aren't going to have both already have 6 losses. Like they're not going to jump.
Well, I think the Rams are in first place in the West, right? So
yeah, they have 6 losses. They're not. They're going to be a division They're going to be a division champion. Maybe.
Yeah, so they won't surpass us. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. We pretty much have the 2 seed locked if we can't get the 1. So yeah, we'll see how it goes in the next few weeks. It'll be interesting. First things first, we gotta win out. We gotta win our game.
Yeah.
Ourselves.
And that'll be interesting. I mean, you don't want to get anybody else hurt. I mean, Landon Dickerson, they said he was getting tests on his knee. That did not sound good to me at all.
Does it?
Tyler Steen took a couple penalties, but I think he's okay as the backup left guard. You don't want to lose anybody else here. I mean, that's that would change the whole season. I hate to be the voice of Eagles seasons past every week here, but I remember very distinctly in 2003. Everybody remembers the Todd Pinkston game against Carolina and how horrible that was. But the real reason the Eagles were horrible that day is that they lost Brian Westbrook in the final game of the regular season in Washington.
Broke my heart.
Leaping Trotter tackled him, and he was out for the season. And Westbrook was their offense that year. They had no chance of beating anybody in the Super Bowl without
He was
Brian
a rookie
Westbrook.
that year, if I remember.
That was his second year, but it was the first year they really
okay.
used him. As a
Yeah.
rookie, he kind of sat behind Deuce and Dorsey Levens, I think, and maybe did some kick returns and stuff. But 2003 was the year he really, became a huge deal. And they didn't have much else. It was Chad Lewis, James Thrash, and Todd Pinkston. And, once he was gone, a great team. That might have been the best defense, actually, of the Reed era that year. And, they just didn't have
any offense.
They had no weapons left when they got to the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's funny you bring up that. That's funny. I was at that Carolina game. It was putrid, but they ran this wheel route. It would have been a 35-yard touchdown down the sidelines, but Westbrook wasn't in. And I believe Correll Buckhalter was hurt for that game as well. They had that three-headed monster that year.
Yeah.
I'd have to look that up, but Westbrook definitely wasn't there. And they ran the Brian Westbrook wheel route to Deuce Staley, and they had it. And Deuce, bless his heart, that wasn't really his game. It went right off his helmet, and the whole thing just unraveled. Ricky Manning Jr. and Mark Semino got steamrolled by Deshaun Foster.
Right.
But
it was still a 14-3 loss if the offense could have done anything. And as I recall, McNabb got hurt on a dirty hit, I thought. And Coy Detmer drove them down the field and then couldn't get in the end zone. It was just it was one of those many ridiculous situations that the Eagles tended to get themselves into back in those days.
I know. Les, you have no idea. I always think about, like, what if Westbrook didn't get hurt? Like, what could that have been? And, oh, man. Yeah. I'm not afraid of Tampa.
Tampa would be up here.
Get out of here.
Tampa. They've beaten the Eagles and the Lions.
Yeah.
Just saying.
But that's a completely different Tampa team.
Dude, Baker's got. Look, I'm not worried about him either. But that Baker Mayfield, man, he's got some heart. He does.
Yeah. I love Baker. You won't find anyone who loves Baker like I do. Yeah. But like that's not the same team. That's like that might as well be a different season compared to what they were earlier this year.
Yeah.
I'd love to get the revenge on them just to get it. So I love it. Les, thank you again for coming on with us. It's awesome as usual.
Oh, it's my pleasure, guys.
Yep, and then hopefully
Our pleasure.
11 next week. Hopefully we'll get that. And yep, and then next week I will not be here. So since I will not be here, Les, I want to say to you and your family, happy holidays. Enjoy your holiday. Best to you. And again, thank you again. I said this for Thanksgiving, but we appreciate you coming on. And so it's a Christmas gift every week. Thank you.
Trying to time travel in the past.
Whoever's in charge next week, be sure you send me the link.
Yes. All right, Les, have a good night.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Yeah. Les.
That is Les Bowen on the Birds. Always a pleasure with him. It's great. It's always like a pinch me, like I'm talking to Les Bowen.
I brag to people all the time. Because it's just so cool. Like you read someone's articles their entire life, and then you get to talk sports with them every week.
Yeah,
we have Doug Minkiewicz every Friday on the Final Whistle. I mean, he won a World Series.
I see that. Yeah. Doug's on with you guys.
It's crazy.
Awesome. It's crazy.
And they're just like normal people.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's so great to chop up with them. Any final thoughts on that win over the Steelers? I know we didn't get to touch on the defense yet with Les.
Nolan freaking Smith.
He's balling out.
I told y'all doubters. You didn't believe in him.
Doubted him. I never doubted him.
No, not you so much.
I did, and I'm glad he's playing well.
I saw someone in a certain group chat was not believing in him enough.
I know what you're talking about.
Well, if you're going to name names, come on.
No,
if you're going to say that, name names.
Why would do that? It's more fun to discuss after the show.
Message you after the show.
I don't know how they could have been. I thought the guy sucked. I thought he was dead in the water. I don't know how anyone could be a bigger hater.
Non-believer.
I mean, I'm glad he's playing well.
I said at the beginning of the season, my goal was very simple for him for a sophomore season. You get 5 sacks, it's a success. We're at 5.5 with 3 games left. Let's freaking go.
I think also what he's been able to do as a run defender is even more impressive. Like with his frame, he's so good as a run defender. And that's awesome. I mean, because
he is getting around that edge.
Yeah, well, not even just getting around. Like in run defense, he's setting the edge, and he's very disciplined.
2 tackles for loss yesterday.
Yeah, and in the absence of a guy like Brandon Graham, you needed someone to do that. So it's awesome. I know that
him and Jalen Carter playing together is just like this. I think that's elevating them. Not to mention the fact that Jordan Davis is playing well. Like people, like the numbers aren't jumping off the pages, but if you watch him, like he's being very effective. Even when they were playing against Carolina, that chase down on Bryce Young was epic.
Yeah,
I loved when Jalen Carter smacked that guy in the head. He got a penalty.
I know one person who did not enjoy that. That would be Nick Sirianni.
I don't care. Sometimes you got to take 15 and set a tone.
No, that's not what you want. Like I love Jalen. I do. Like I
loved it. It made me smile ear to ear.
That was my 2-man draft. Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith was the dream draft. And to get both of those guys is phenomenal. But like you can't be doing that. And I understand what's the D-line guy's name, Chucks?
Clint
Hurt. Yeah, that's it. The guy who would give me literally nightmares if I ever met him in person.
Well, I mean, PY, the guy gets held every play. They don't call a damn thing.
That.
Like
I trust me, I hate it. But
smack the guy in the head. Maybe he won't hold you as much.
That's not a football play. Like when you're trying. Here's the thing: when you're trying to win against a team like the Steelers,
but sometimes you take 15 to make a point and set a tone. That guy's going to think twice about holding Jalen
No, he's
Carter.
not. No, he's not. He's going to keep doing it. They're going to keep doing it every time.
I think I agree with both of you. I think that you can't do that regularly. If it's gonna be like a one-time thing, though, I have no problem with it. Like, and I don't think it's a huge deal. I mean, you have some people trying to make a huge deal about
it's not
trying to go over to Carter.
He's right.
Like I don't think it's a huge deal. That stuff happens all the time on sidelines. It's
I
a
think Nick
big
Sirianni
nothing.
should shut up. And
I
if
don't
it
think
doesn't-
so. I
if
think
it's
he's
not- if it's
100%
not a-
justified.
If it's not a habitual, if he's not a habitual offender, which he's not, then you can give him one.
Well,
But you need your young player to be smart in those
To be fair,
situations.
yeah,
And he
He is
wasn't.
smart.
if you're no, but
No, he's not.
Briggs, to be fair, like
On the whole, he's
when
smart.
you have
Yeah.
when you
and
have
dominant.
when you have a player, a young player even, or especially do something like that, you have to have the coach put them in check. Like you have to. If you don't, then you're not holding players accountable. So I think Sirianni was in the right to go over there, perfectly fine. I think Clint Hurt was perfectly fine to stand up for him. It's it's a thing happening with coaches. It happens all the time. It's a big nothing burger.
Yeah, it's not a big deal.
Not a big deal. It's really not a big deal. So I think it's a situation where everyone was fine. Like I don't have an issue with what anyone did. Carter it has to be like if he does something like that in the future in a huge game, like in the playoffs, that's where like
We're not going to be saying this. It's not going to be a nothing burger.
Yeah, you can't be doing that. But in a game like this, if it's a one-off, it's all right. It's fine. It's fine. Brian Pumper does say best part about Jalen Carter was him smacking Jordan Davis' hand when he tried to help Broderick Jones up. Bust Davis needs to toughen up. Jordan Davis is not a bust.
He's not a bust. He's played exceptionally well this year.
Yeah, he's
like they're one of the best run-stopping teams
If that
in the NFL right now.
did happen, he does need to toughen up. You don't help your opponents up off the field.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. I'm sorry. Stop.
No, you don't.
Have some respect.
I have no class and I have no respect. During those 60 minutes when we're competing, we're not friends at all.
You don't have to be friends. There's respect.
I mean, I'm not spitting on him and stomping in his face.
You don't have to
like
spit on him.
Albert Hainsworth did, but I'm not. If I knock someone,
you can help him up. There's nothing wrong with that. No problem with that.
I ain't helping him up. No shot. I hate that. I hate when they dap each other up before the game when they're about to play each other.
They're all friends. Like we act like this
you
has
can
never
be friends all you want. Not during those 60 minutes. Not on game day.
What are you talking about?
Not on game day.
But that's not in between the lines. Like the play is over. Help the guy up. Move on, and then try and beat the crap out of him next play. We're good.
Nah, fuck that. Let him rot. Let him rot in the turf.
It's a family show, sir.
What's
family show?
What's really funny is that there are players who are just like each of you. There are players who have the Briggs mindset. There are players that have the PY mindset. I really don't care what you have.
I would have no friends unless they were on my team.
The players are players. Joe does say, how about a Bears win tonight and Vikes win in week 18 over Detroit? Eagles need a bye week 3. Hurt lineman Saquon nursing something, got an extra week. Slaying and out, whoever else I'm forgetting. Yeah, I mean, again, we talked about it earlier. A week 1 bye as the 1 seed would be awesome. Like, obviously, it would be preferred. And it's not out of the realm of possibility. It absolutely is not. It still can happen. But, I mean, if I were Briggs your elbow bets, I'm pretty sure the betting odds would favor us being the 2 seed. So, it is what it is. And if we get the 2 seed,
Campbell going to screw it up for his team?
Yes,
he's reckless. He's not aggressive anymore. I tend to agree that he's going to mess it up, just like he did last year.
He's he's getting to the 2020 Doug Peterson level of reckless.
I gave him a huge pass, which I never do for that NFC Championship game. But now it's at it. Like,
gotta pick your spots, man. Like, you gotta know. You can't be agreeing every line.
You're down 10 with 12 to go, and you do an onside kick.
Yeah,
I
don't agree with that choice. I mean, his defense wasn't stopping anyone, so sure. But the thing is, like, if we were still able to do surprise onside kicks, then I'd be okay with it.
Maybe.
You've got to declare your onside kick, so there's no surprise element to it. The chances of recovering it are so low, so I don't agree with going for it either. I thought that was too much. But
do you have a better chance of getting a turnover, albeit against a guy who's just unbelievable right now, in Josh Allen? We're recovering one of those onside kicks where you have to tell everyone
that you're onside
you're doing
kicking.
it.
I agree, Rob. I agree. I'm with you. I don't. I thought that was.
I would
stupid.
lose my mind. I would lose my mind if I was a Lions fan with that guy as my coach. Lose my mind.
Lions, man. Like, we haven't seen Don in our chat.
He probably had a heart attack from Dan Campbell. He doesn't come on the final whistle anymore either.
Dan Campbell is what people is what people think Nick Sirianni was early in their season. Where it's like, he's an idiot. He's blah blah blah.
Well,
I like
Harry.
I like Dan Campbell, but he's getting a little bit too much. Even for my taste, I love being aggressive. But there are times where I'm just like, okay, dial it back a little bit.
He's Carson Wentz if he were a head coach. That's what he is.
How about Carson?
Oh
How about Carson?
Yes,
Carson's about to get some snaps, bro.
Just go, baby. Just go.
Carson's about to get some snaps on Christmas.
Carson Wentz is like him and Josh Allen have that devil on their shoulder where it's just like, hey, he does. They both do to where, hey, man, it's triple coverage. I think we could fit it through. Josh's devil on the other hand, Josh is like, I know, I think that's too much. He doesn't listen to him all the time. Meanwhile, Carson will say the exact same thing. Oh man, quadruple coverage. I think I could do it. And his devil's just like, are you stupid?
Can you not compare? I
don't understand. I don't understand that line of thing. I don't understand.
I don't either. It's another PY-ism. I don't.
My last thing, NFL as a whole. Once again, the NFL does not care about player safety. You are trotting these guys out on Saturday and then making them play on Wednesday. Ridiculous, right? Because the Chiefs play the Steelers on Christmas, so they both play Saturday, and the Texans play the Ravens on Christmas, so I believe they both play Saturday. Saturday, cool. Put football on TV for everyone to see. I'm going to enjoy it. Those are two big-time games, but don't tell me you care about player safety over profits.
Well, they don't.
It's ridiculous.
They don't. We all know this. It's a business. That's all it is.
Yeah, they don't. And Mr. Wing asked if any chance they change the rule back to not telling teams you're kicking onsides. I don't. It depends on how. It depends on if they feel like the dynamic kickoff has been a success or not.
Yep.
I have a feeling they're going to say, yes, it's a success. And as a result, they're not going to bring back the surprise onside kicks. There's no way you can. There's no way with the way that kickoffs are, there's no way you can do a surprise onside kick. There's no way.
Because you're going to have to line up to do an onside kick and everyone's going to know it.
Exactly.
So
and
I do like the dynamic kickoffs. The return is back.
I do too. I wish they would if you're not going to have surprise onside kicks, I wish they would change something about the onside kick to make it a little bit more possible to recover. It's the chances of recovering are so low as it is, so low. It's next to nothing. I think boost up the chances a little bit, and then I think you're cooking. But
these teams are making plays to where they can get it and do a return on the onside kick.
Yep.
Yeah.
Buffalo
definitely.
yesterday.
Yep, exactly. We've seen them. We've seen it. All right, gentlemen. Great show as usual. For all of those listening into our chat, we appreciate you. Make sure you give a shout out to our sponsor, Baggio's Bread, located in Mount Laurel, New Jersey. Mention A2D Radio for 10% off your in-store purchase. And make sure you check out the rest of the shows on A2D for the week. And until next week, it's your boy Chucks, it's Brinks, it's PY, and the rest of us at A2D. Thank you. We'll see you. Well, they'll see you next week. I won't. So I want to wish everyone, all supporters, a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Thank you. And go Birds. Peace out.
Go Birds.